The movie starts in a small diner where a boy named Bear Bailey is sitting across from a waitress, practicing confessing his feelings. There is nervousness in his voice. He repeats his words again and again because he wants to tell his feelings to his childhood friend, Nikki Freeman, whom he has liked for a long time and keeps thinking about her all the time. The waitress finds Bear's words very sweet, but Bear's best friend Ian considers this speech childish. He does not think that any girl would be impressed by hearing such dramatic things. After the waitress leaves, Ian tries to explain to Bear that he does not need to be so nervous in front of Nikki. He should just go and talk to Nikki directly. But Bear is scared. He just wants to spend some time alone with Nikki so that he can tell her what's in his heart. Sadie's death and One Wish Willow. That same night, Bear, Ian, Nikki, and their friend Sarah are about to go to a trivia night. But before that, when Bear reaches home, his life changes suddenly. His pet cat Sadie is lying on the ground, and oxycodone pills are scattered around her. Sadie has died after accidentally eating those pills. Seeing his cat in this condition, Bear is completely broken. He cleans up and with trembling hands places Sadie's body in a garbage bag and goes to his room and starts crying bitterly. After some time, Bear is looking at Nikki's Instagram profile on his phone when suddenly Nikki's call comes. Nikki reminds him to come to the trivia night. Bear initially refuses because after Sadie's death, he doesn't feel like going anywhere. But as soon as Nikki says that she wants to talk about the two of them, Bear immediately agrees to meet. Before disconnecting the phone, Nikki's crystal necklace accidentally falls down the drain. Bear hears everything and feels very bad for Nikki. To make Nikki happy, Bear immediately goes to a shop to buy a new necklace for her. But in the shop, he doesn't find any necklace that Nikki would like. Just then, his eyes fall on a strange stick-like thing named One Wish Willow, and it is claimed that snapping it in half fulfills a wish. When he goes to buy it, the shopkeeper woman warns him not to complain later because some people's wishes actually come true and some do not. Out of curiosity, Bear buys that willow. At night, the four friends meet at a club for trivia night where Nikki and Sarah are also present. Everyone talks, and it is clearly visible that Bear loves Nikki very much, but he does not have the courage to say what is in his heart. He signals Ian to engage Sarah in conversation. Getting the chance, he also wants to tell Nikki about his cat dying. But just then Ian and Sarah return, so he isn't able to say anything. In the end, he tells Sarah that Sadie has died. Sarah hugs him to console him. After the party, when everyone comes out, Nikki asks them for some loose change and takes money from Sarah and goes to give it to a homeless person. Seeing this, Bear starts feeling even more love for her. A little while later, Bear leaves to drop Nikki at her house. On the way, inside the car, they start talking about love and relationships. Bear tries to gather courage, many times to express his heart out, but every time gets nervous and stops. When they reach Nikki's house, in nervousness, he mistakenly calls Nikki Freaky Nikki. This is the very nickname that Nikki hates. Then Nikki looks straight into Bear's eyes and asks if he likes her. If there is something in his mind, then this is the right opportunity to tell the truth. But Bear gets scared and says that they are just good friends. Nikki quietly goes inside her house. Bear is left sitting alone. In sorrow and frustration, he takes out the One Wish Willow and without much belief, snaps it into two pieces and wishes that Nikki loves him more than any other person in the world. And then suddenly the atmosphere becomes strange. Suddenly Nikki comes back out. Now her behavior seems different from before. She comes to Bear and says that she wants to go back to his house with him. Bear feels confused and scared. She sits back inside the car and crying, tells him that she cannot stay alone because her father is dying of cancer. Bear feels very bad for her and brings her to his house, where, before sleeping, Nikki asks Bear if he can sleep with her. Despite being confused, Bear agrees. Not only this, Nikki also takes off her t-shirt and starts talking by resting her head on Bear's shoulder. Gradually, both start coming closer to each other. Nikki's behavior starts seeming much more affectionate and obsessed than before. In a short while, both start kissing, but then suddenly Nikki backs away in fear. She says in a panicked voice that she had a panic attack. After this, she starts crying and says that maybe she made Bear feel uncomfortable. Bear calms her down and explains that everything is fine. In the end, both sleep separately, but after a while, Bear wakes up. The same One Wish Willow keeps revolving in his mind again and again. He opens the laptop and starts searching. on the internet whether that thing really works. He sees different comments. Some people say that it is all fake, while some claim that their wishes actually came true. When Bear goes back to the room, Nikki is awake. She softly asks Bear to come sleep near her. Bear is not completely comfortable, but still lies down on her bed and eventually both sleep together. The next morning, when Bear opens his eyes, Nikki is not near him. He goes to the kitchen and is stunned to see the sight there because Nikki had taken Sadie's corpse out of the garbage and kept it like some memorial on the kitchen floor. Bear does not like this at all, but Nikki says that maybe she has taken something due to which she is behaving strangely. After that, both reach work together. Then it is revealed that all four friends work at the same place. Ian is surprised to see Bear and Nikki together. He takes Bear aside and asks what exactly happened last night, that both suddenly came so close. Bear tells that Nikki's father is dying of cancer and she is emotionally struggling, so she came to his house for comfort. Meanwhile, Nikki continuously keeps staring at Bear even from a distance. After work, Bear tells Nikki that he won't be able to drop her home today. But Nikki says that she just came to get her bag because Ian is going to drop her home. Hearing this, Bear feels a little relieved. Later, after reaching home, he calls Ian and talks about Nikki's strange behavior. Ian also agrees that he had seen Nikki continuously staring at Bear in the shop, and he too didn't find her behavior normal. Just then there is a knock on the door, and Nikki is standing there wearing a cute dress. She apologizes to Bear for her behavior the previous night and expresses her love to him. Finally, Bear also tells her his feelings. It feels as if a real love has started between the two. Gradually, both get into a relationship. A few days later, on a dinner date, Bear asks Nikki about her father, but Nikki does not want to talk about this topic. Just then, Bear gets a call from Ian. Ian's voice is serious. He says that he has found out about Nikki, and the truth is that her father is perfectly healthy. Not only this, Nikki does not even have any special relationship with her father. Ian also tells that Sarah had heard Nikki saying that Bear is just like a little brother to her. Hearing all this, Bear becomes sad and goes back to Nikki. Just then Nikki gives him a small gift and emotionally says that she loves him more than anything else in the world. Hearing her words, Bear begins to realize that maybe the one wish Willow really worked. Still, he asks Nikki why she lied about her father. As soon as she hears this question, Nikki suddenly starts screaming loudly in the middle of the restaurant. She says that they both were enjoying a good date. Bear somehow calms her down, and both return back to his house. Finally, at night both get physical, but Nikki's behavior is strange and disturbing. It seems as if Nikki is doing all this under the influence of something, as if now she doesn't have full control over herself. In the middle of the night, Bear suddenly wakes up and sees that Nikki is not in bed. He looks here and there in the dark room and gets scared when he sees Nikki standing in the corner of the room, silently staring at him while he sleeps. Bear panics and asks Nikki to come back to bed, but Nikki starts crying again and says that Bear does not love her as much as she loves Bear. Bear explains to her that he also loves her and tries to sleep again. But then suddenly Nikki starts roaming around carrying a flower pot, screaming in a scary voice, which completely frightens Bear. But then somehow he makes her lie back on the bed. On waking up in the morning, Bear notices that Nikki has cut his hair. He tells her not to do this again. Nikki immediately apologizes, but the smile present on her face doesn't seem normal anymore. It looks strange and creepy. After this, Nikki gives Bear a lunchbox to take to work. Bear says thanks to her, but while going out his eyes fall on the door. The entire door has been sealed with tape, as if Nikki had tried to stop him from going out. Bear somehow removes the tape, opens the door, and goes out while Nikki is standing behind watching him with a strange smile. Then suddenly a very disturbing thing happens. Nikki, standing right there, urinates on herself, but that same creepy smile still remains on her face. Later at work, Bear sits to have lunch with Sarah. He sees Nikki's note written on the lunchbox and starts eating the sandwich made by her. Meanwhile, Sarah receives a letter related to admission in art school, but unfortunately, she is rejected. Bear hugs and comforts her. Just then Sarah says that a very strange smell is coming from his lunch, and suddenly showing Nikki's written note in the lunchbox. She asks what the "How perfect cat" line means. Bear also gets confused and starts looking closely at the sandwich. But the very next moment his breath stops. Inside the sandwich, a chopped piece of his dead cat Sadie is kept. Seeing this, Bear immediately vomits. After work, Ian tells Bear to drop him home too. On the way, Bear gets angry at Ian for why he refused to invite Nikki to his party. Ian clearly says that he feels Nikki is going through some serious mental trouble, and Bear is probably not able to understand her condition. According to Ian, Nikki's behavior is becoming more strange and unstable day by day. But Bear is not ready to believe him. He repeatedly says the same thing, that Nikki loves him and whatever is happening. The reason for it is her emotional problems. Still, Ian does not want Nikki to mess up anything at the party due to her mental condition. So he tells Bear to come to the party without Nikki and leaves. Later, when Bear is alone in the car, his eyes suddenly fall on the One Wish Willow packet. All the events of the last few days start revolving in his mind: Nikki's strange behavior, her dangerous obsession, and being around him all the time. In fear and restlessness, he dials the number printed on the packet. A company representative picks up the phone. Bear nervously asks him what exactly is happening and can he take back his wish. But the representative tells him that once a wish is fulfilled, that wish cannot be changed or undone. There is only one way to end it: the death of the one who made the wish. Hearing this, Bear gets even more scared. But the situation becomes even more terrifying when the representative suddenly brings the real Nikki on the phone, and Bear only hears painful and scary screams from the other side. It feels as if the real Nikki is trapped somewhere and is crying for help. Scared, Bear immediately returns back home. But what he sees after reaching home is even more disturbing. Nikki is still standing in the same place waiting for him where she was before. Her whole body is smeared with urine and vomit. Her face is looking like some possessed person. Bear fearfully asks her to go to the bathroom and clean up, and he himself stands outside the door so that Nikki doesn't harm herself or him. During this, Bear tells her that he is going to go to Ian's party at night. As soon as she hears this, Nikki starts screaming in an angry, strange, and scary manner because she knows that Sarah will also be present there. She continuously keeps crying and screaming that Bear cannot leave her and go anywhere. In the end, Bear decides to take her along as well, even though Ian clearly does not want Nikki to come to the party. At the party, everyone is playing a dare game. In one dare, Bear has to change his place, and Sarah is sitting near him. Nikki is not happy with this at all, but starts laughing in a strange way. Then when it's Nikki's turn, she suddenly starts telling a highly disturbing story of Hansel and Gretel, which contains incest themes, meaning that story sounds like a brother-sister sex story, which makes every person present there uncomfortable. Then Bear's turn comes. It is written on his block that he has to kiss the person sitting on his left side, and Sarah is sitting there. But before Bear could do anything, Nikki makes a weird face, pulls Sarah away from her place, and sits there herself, due to which out of helplessness, Bear has to kiss her. Nikki again starts saying weird things, but then for a few seconds, it seems as if Nikki has regained control over herself. Fear is visible in her eyes, but the very next moment, she suddenly picks up a broken beer bottle and starts striking her own face. Everyone starts screaming in panic, and Bear immediately takes Nikki to the hospital. But due to some strange reason, the hospital refuses to admit Nikki. Forced, Bear brings her back home. Bear finally breaks down and angrily asks Nikki why she behaved like this at the party. Nikki unhesitatingly admits that she was getting jealous of Sarah because she had noticed that Sarah likes Bear. Bear asks her if she really loves him, but Nikki, smiling, calls herself his Freaky Nikki, whereas earlier she used to hate this nickname immensely. When Bear tells her that maybe for some time she should go back to her apartment, Nikki completely breaks down. She starts crying bitterly and begs Bear not to leave her. Nikki says that she will become whatever Bear wants. Bear only tells her to behave like the old Nikki whom he knew from childhood. Nikki repeatedly says that she cannot become Nikki, but the very next moment, apologizing to Bear, she starts saying again that she loves him very much. She wants Bear to love her just as much. She starts behaving terrifyingly in front of Bear, due to which Bear genuinely starts getting scared of her. But Nikki says that she will not harm him. Bear asks her to go sleep alone, but Nikki breaks down again and starts threatening suicide. Finally, out of helplessness, Bear has to sleep with her again. After a while, Bear gets a message from Sarah, who is calling him outside to meet. Bear somehow quietly gets up from the bed and tries to go out of the room. Just then the real Nikki comes forward again for a short while and in a scared voice requests Bear to kill her while the obsessed Nikki is sleeping. But instead of understanding her words, Bear asks her what is so bad about being with him anyway. Then Nikki says in a painful voice that she was never with him. Whatever is happening is not the real Nikki. She repeatedly keeps requesting to kill herself, but Bear leaves from there. Outside, he meets Sarah in her car. Sarah shows him another letter which reveals that this time she has got admission to the art school. Then both talk about Nikki. Sarah tells that Nikki and Ian were secretly in a relationship for 2 years, and she feels that Nikki is dating Bear just to make him jealous. During this conversation, it is also understood that maybe Sarah herself has started liking Bear. She is worrying about Bear and wants him to come out of this toxic situation. But then suddenly Nikki reaches there and in anger, jealousy breaks the car window and attacks Sarah. Nikki repeatedly keeps smashing Sarah's face on a brick until Sarah is completely dead and her face is not even recognizable. Bear goes into complete shock seeing all this. But Nikki, becoming completely calm, asks him to help remove the body. In fear and helplessness, Bear helps her. Now he has completely understood that his wish has ruined everything. In an attempt to fix everything, Bear again goes to the same shop and tries to buy another one-wish willow. He hopes that maybe he can somehow reverse his wish. In nervousness, he tells the shop owner that Nikki has become dangerously obsessed and everything has gone bad. He desperately asks if there is any way to reverse this wish. The shop owner tells in a serious voice that it is not easy. He says that either Nikki herself should wish to leave Bear, or some other person should somehow change the situation. Bear gets anxious and buys a few more one-wish willows and sitting back in the car, tries to snap them like before. But this time the willow does not break at all. Only then he realizes that every person gets only one wish. Bear, becoming completely hopeless, reaches straight to Ian's house and finally tells him the whole truth that because of that wish Nikki has reached this condition. Bear requests him to use his willow to make a wish that Bear had never asked for his original wish. But Ian doesn't believe his words. He feels that Bear has gone mad due to the shock and guilt of Sarah's death. Jokingly, Ian wishes from the willow that he gets $1 billion. The very next moment, suddenly it starts raining dollars from the roof, which proves that the wishes are actually real. But another hope of Bear is finished. He returns home taking his last hope. Reaching there, he sees that Nikki has decorated the living room like some horrifying memorial. This time Sarah's dead body is also kept in the room like a decoration, as if she is not a human but a showpiece. Just then Nikki comes there who, crying, is repeatedly asking Bear why he doesn't love her. Bear tries to explain to Nikki by giving her another willow that maybe she herself can reverse the wish. But Nikki is no longer in a condition to listen to anyone. At the same time, suddenly Ian comes inside the house. But Nikki, without wasting a single second, shoots straight into his head and Ian dies right there. Bear somehow calms Nikki down, but Nikki has already decided that if Bear doesn't love her, she will kill both herself and Bear. Out of fear, Bear locks himself in the bathroom. He understands that probably only one way is left to end this nightmare. First, he thinks of shooting himself. But then he remembers those same pills that took Sadie's life at the beginning of the film. To save Nikki and get himself out of this terrible relationship, he swallows a lot of pills and tries to kill himself. But at the last moment, he is not able to do so and tries to vomit the pills out. But it's already too late by now. In the other room, Nikki snaps a one-wish willow and wishes that Bear also becomes as obsessed with her as she is with him. Now, drowned in love, Bear stops his work and comes into the living room. Now the same obsession is visible in his eyes which was earlier in Nikki's eyes. Both kiss each other lovingly, but this moment doesn't last long. The pills start taking effect and Bear falls on the sofa. Nikki screams out and Bear dies in her arms. Nikki is about to shoot herself, but with Bear's death, at that very moment, the effect of the wish breaks and Nikki immediately becomes normal. But seeing all the corpses lying around her, out of fear she starts crying badly because this one wish of Bear had ended everything. With this, the movie ends right here. Hope you liked the story. If you liked the story, then subscribe to the channel.